Hi guys, welcome for this podcast. We've been doing this. I have come on this podcast for after a long time, and the best coincidence is today is our 10th anniversary of our church, and I thought of welcoming and getting on this podcast. Very good friend of mine. He has been in this podcast interview in the past. Nico Morales, and he's he's a treasure of knowledge. I'm so excited how this is going to be, and I'm sure all you guys who have watched Nico in the past, you know how amazing he is. So, Nico, welcome once again.
I know, right? I believe this is our special third one, and blessings as always, all the time. It's amazing.
So
Thanks so much.
excited, man, to get you back on our channel, get you back on this podcast. Really excited to uh, hear from you. What are you up to? I mean, every time I speak to you, you come up with some new things, new understanding, deep revelations. What are you up to this season?
Definitely, big time by a lot. And since you and I have been on a podcast together, expressing what has been going on, this is going to be a big one. So
Yes.
we can start off with I guess my understanding from where I was and to where I am now. And what I mean by I mean the collective I, since we're all growing together and everything's being poured upon us. So, as far as I understand now, let's see, let me give you a great example because I love demonstration. So, I started getting back on telekinesis again. And I was just working with technology. So I decided to use something special, which was a Tesla coil. And Tesla shoots out plasma. And I put my aluminum foil on top of my Tesla, and it's able to use the negative pull effect of magnetism. And then I turn it off, and I'm able to move it around, of course, at a very such increased magnetism where it looks, very supernatural. Then I can take it off and put it on top of a toothpick. I can take it off and put it under a glass and move that same aluminum foil that's been charged by the plasma. So then it gets my mind in an effect of faster hacks, I guess. And then I moved on to levitation devices that people can purchase off of Amazon. And this is a great training for the advanced material that we have in our school. So people get to feel what the field is like, what it looks like with visualization in real life, instead of just working with the imagination. And how much the imagination can hinder somebody, even if it's for a positive manifestation, how it pulls away from their life force without the understanding that consciousness is working within the 6 dimensions, even miracles and the highest degrees of magic. And we know perfection, that's the 7, at the 8, and at the 9. And what we simply mean by that is every time we're living in this 3D world, we have a 2-dimensional perspective of duality, of black and white, of opposites. And there's always someone always says something different or whatever, and then that person's consciousness, intellect, or logic, since that's what we're trained with government curriculum. And we're thinking we're diving deep in spiritual practices and in the holy word, etc. Well, so let's explain to the viewers here what consciousness is. Consciousness is what we use to drive our car. It's what the Bible will call the carnal mind. Consciousness is material, it's matter. Now, our personality of a unique divine expression is personality. It's like Bruce Lee says, to express yourself as honest as possible without lying to yourself. He goes, now that, my friend, is very hard to do. Then he says, I can put on a show and be cocky, etc., and show the ego I. But to express the I within the I, he says, to become one without lying to yourself. But it's very tough. It is the narrow road. And it's the simple gospel truth to express ourselves as honest as possible. Now, with that being said, a lot of the saints, lamas, and yogis Renew, this is so cool, that they operated through perception, through feelings. And now our consciousness likes to put things on images. And even in the Quran, it says that an angel would not visit a house with images. And even in our Bible, it speaks about worshiping idols and having images and all the rest. And we see later that it's been traditionalized as a prophet never wrote any book. They only spoke, and has been recorded hundreds and decades and hundreds of years after their transition into someone's intellect, logic, and the way that is allegorical translated. But it's through no words, of course, that the love of God can be expressed through perception, through feelings. It's no words can gravitate or even put it there as how we're growing. So that's what's been deeply the transition of what's been going on since last we spoke.
Wow, awesome. So have you managed to turn the psi wheel under the glass?
Yes. And this came through, the reason we do these trainings is perception through feeling. What does it feel like without emotions? What does it feel like deeply with love and gratitude?
Mm-hmm.
So working with these material, we're still working with, I guess what you can call Satan, or the universal mind or consciousness, in the material realm like this, and matter. So even thought of good and evil, whether it's good memories or bad memories, is an element of consciousness as well. So using this to perception through feelings, we just simply clear our mind. Like even Brucey says, empty the cup, be like water, take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ, or the void, etc. But we reject all images, shapes, colors, forms, intellect, logic. So anybody can do it. It should be very simple. Just like a purity or a baby mind, forget everything that we thought that we knew, and then feel the feeling deeply within. So you can feel also like biofield. You're feeling the feeling. You just it's an intimate relationship and intimacy with all things, which are ourselves.
So you mean to say the way to create a reality is to abandon the present images that are there in our mind, the present programs that are there in our mind, and then use our feelings and create it?
Yes, for an example, for healing, for example, a lot of people look to other people for healings, of course, and they're claiming to put it in God. And even faith could be a nocebo or a placebo. Placebo and nocebo pretty much means placebo is the positive, nocebo is the negative, where attention goes, energy flows, wherever awareness is, right? And which what they'll call faith as well. Now, this is one where someone can get healed within if they press in with their personality to touch the soul of his garment, to touch the soul. And then when a personality and the soul, they marry each other, that's what you call an angel. You know, the two become one. Satan, or consciousness or intellect, will flush us with all kind of obstacles, of illusions, of images, and what will just empty ourselves out and get on that cross. So, it's the structure of the human body. Yeah.
So let's for the sake of the viewers, like very simple term, people who have no background of all that you're speaking about, how will you really define angels and Satan?
Definitely. So let's see if we're still on. Okay, cool. So for the religious term, Satan will be what their Bible will call the carnal mind, right? And an allegorical sense like that, it is consciousness, the material world, the greed, the wants, the anything that has to do with intellect or logic, right? Now,
The ego mind?
Yeah, that's right. And we also want not to be led by consciousness, right? We want to be led by the spirit. We want to be led by our personality. So a lot of times when we're caught up in watching TV for a while and we're getting entertained, and where our attention goes, we're giving a piece of our pie away, giving a piece of our life force away, and we're spending that, we're buying into it, paying attention. So, and consciousness always divides, and it separates, and it destroys itself. And this is what we'll also call the system. So when in biblical terms, it seems creepy when we use the word, Satan like that. but it is another word, as we know, for categorizo, to separate, to brand, to title, to name. And if anyone's, done their research or even observed consciousness themselves. So if we were to observe consciousness and write down every single thought on a pen and a paper, all the honest thoughts, the thoughts about killing our loved ones and killing our families that didn't come to us, but Satan served it to us on a plate, but we paid attention to it. So those are what you will call sins. And sin, we know, is hamartia, to disconnect from our origin or our personality. Consciousness is artificial intelligence coming from the outside, and a lot of people identify as it. And we've been bamboozled and hoodwinked so in our journey here. But the free language for everyone that's listening of what it really means is be mindful, I guess, of where you spend your attention. Is it coming from memories, like Alec Martin is speaking about this as well? Is it coming from traditions and culture, like the Bible says the tradition and culture makes the word or the spirit of God of no effect? So making it simple like that, I hope they understand so far as we.
Yeah. And who are the angels?
Great
what
question.
Are the angels?
Right. So anything that has to do with images are within the 6 dimensions where consciousness can interpret, or we can even put images on these things, even though an angel will not reside in a house with images, but the consciousness will put an interpretation behind something with a figure or a form. So angels could be our ancestors, and it could be the soul and the personality when they marry each other. It could be one that was human before, but human actually means the term of our spirit man, and the true term of it, not as what we made it to be in modern terms of what a real human being is, or being human.
So what do you mean by, I'm sorry to interrupt, what do you mean by marrying the soul and the personality?
Right. This is what is spoken of when the two become one. Now the soul is all knowing, and the personality is simply perception through feelings. So when this happens, when we're no longer putting the outside world, within ourselves, because this is, what is a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? And that's what we'll get into the whole reincarnation thing here. So they'll lose themselves in it, and they'll have only outer perception if they're not perceiving through deep love and gratitude, having love for God. So what I mean is, when I go into meditation or when I go into prayer, I simply close my eyes and I see the back of my eyelids. I'm following my breath, and I'm let my body do whatever it does. This deep love and gratitude for God. I'm loving God deeply, and not about emotions, but things will pop up. Maybe my mouth will open, my nose will flare, and it's this deep intimacy that happens so quick in a matter of seconds that you can connect without consciousness getting in the way, or images or visualizations. Those images and visualizations get rejected. Like I said in the Truth Seeker podcast, if any of Jesus, Mary, or angels come to me, I reject these images. And this is a allegorical joke that I said, "Depart from me, I never knew you." Jesus came to me. And it sounds funny for people hearing it, especially in a New Age doctrine. But where I'm really going with it is going into deeper intimacy without letting consciousness or Satan interpret things for me. And it is like Jesus in the wilderness, the same thing about being offered the kingdom. Somebody would say, "But Nico, don't you know that that's already all God's?" Satan being the prince of the air or the God of the earth. And what we mean by God is in, through, and as all things is where we get into the oneness at. When we speak of unity right now is impossible unless people are having perception through feelings, unless people are mirroring their soul, unless people are no longer interpreting through consciousness. Yes, we have to interpret to consciousness in the 3D world that we're living in right now, that drive our car and all the rest, but not being led by it. And if we look at majority of the world, 100% of people use their imaginations, which is great, but they're letting it, the piece of the pie, go into negative routes. Their attention spans are going away, and they don't want to earn money, buy a house and build one. They would rather use their imagination to create one, which will pull a lot of the life force away from them. because they're not happy at the fact that their subconscious mind is projecting the same illusions in their world anyway. So it's just like this, a great example where the viewers can really get it. A white lotus flower grows out of muck and swamp, and it comes out into the sun, and then it's beautiful, and it emanates with the sunlight. Now, the white lotus flower doesn't say, like a lot of the New Age teachings, I'm going to take my seed and I'm going to take my sprout and I'm going to clean up all the muddy swamp water around me. I'm going to reprogram my subconscious mind, life cycle after life cycle, until I become a lily farm. No, it feeds itself through it all. It believes God, it trusts, it lives in the spirit. And that's what a beautiful marriage will look like in harmony as it comes out.
That's beautiful illustration.
Thanks.
So, so you mean to say, yeah, we need to learn to go deep inside and connect to ourselves, to this place where we have no programs of consciousness put on us, kind of a place where we be in a void.
That's right. So great explanation, because whenever we go to the void, where we're out of the realm of Satan in a way like this, I guess you could say it like that. Those that sat in darkness saw a great light, and that light is the light of our soul. It's in perfection and purity. And when this happens, this is when I believe you're getting baptized. You can start your ministry. The Holy Spirit comes upon you. So the Holy Spirit will not come upon a place where Satan's at work or working at, in a way where it says, if you cherish iniquity in your heart, in Psalms 66 verse 18, the Lord will not have listened. Or in the book of Wisdom, chapter 1 verse 7 of Solomon, it says the Holy Spirit flees when wickedness comes in. And it's purity of living from your unique divine expression. So here's another great example. I watched this prank video in India of a man on the tree, and he was dropping money down for his friend to come get it while they were filming, to see if any spectators or witnesses will come by. And then the other man ran over there who got pranked, and they threw a bucket of water on his head. And but the moral of what I got from that was, what we know in our lives is, if there's a crowd of people, depending on the influences, but if there's a crowd of people, most likely, if there's something out of the norm or out of the open, people would judge it as in they don't like it. But if there was one person or even two, then they're open for the open-mindedness. When you see like money coming from a tree, even though they heard money don't grow on trees, but they're seeing a guy shake a tree. But if there's a crowd of people, they were like, not messing with it, because they're embarrassed of the fear of what other people think. But one-on-ones, being discipled, and people are very open, even though all those people really deeply are, but they're operating from the government curriculum of consciousness, or the elite's curriculum consciousness, and the artificial intelligence.
That's amazing. So you are presently having a school. It's a healing school, or it's kind of a miracle healing, have all kind of facets to it?
So the great question. The school is based off of like elementary, intermediate, advanced, and I consider even resurrection of the dead and elementary teaching, curing incurable diseases. So all these will go, but they have to have proof and demonstration. I have to be able to demonstrate and prove this stuff, as well as the graduate students in here. So we are teaching teleportation, walking through walls, levitation of the human body, but I will get to those when I'm able to do them. And then release the courses with me demonstrating it, and others coming in events and in person, or even online. They can't make it. So on elementary, we pretty much have for math, understanding how chakras work. For example, St. Patrick, people love St. Patrick. His teacher was the mystical inner alchemist, St. Germain. And a lot of people don't talk about that or know that, because they make St. Patrick seem religious in the Catholic churches, with the images and the statues and his Ankh cross, the ancient Egypt one. But he was walking through doors, doing omnikinesis, turning the desert to snow, teleporting, walking through walls, raising the dead, and tons of cool stuff. They try to poison him. He does all kind of cool. He does sigils in the electrons in the air with his finger, like a wand. And it says in the book of think it was Joseph said this, that he took the finger of God and wrote in the air and the veil was removed. Like Jesus writing on the dust, etc. But all these saints were doing this, and Saint Germain was, you know, an inner alchemist, and they call an ascended master that's still alive and has eternal life or immortality, whatever it is. But the point is that even math that we're teaching, Fibonacci, the flower of life, and all universal laws and how all this stuff works, even though it's written in the Vedas, the Hindu text, Christian Bible, the Quran, many scriptures of how the universal laws, energy, and math is all up in there, of course, for the viewers that are listening, so we can speak freely. But these will be considered elementary teachings, where I'll have my son who's going to the 3rd grade. So when he's in 2nd, I have him also doing 3rd grade work as well. And he's able to erase clouds, do healings to see what it's like, mind read. He could do a whole deck of cards and put them all with blacks with blacks and reds with reds. And until he gets all 52, it's really cool. But yeah, so then we have elementary, and then we go into the advanced, where when someone does a healing on themselves, they're not using their imagination to create a healing or a visualization like Dr. Joe Dispenza did. When he used his spine, he came out and had a great healing from it. But you can go strictly to the 7th dimension, where there's nothing but perfection and peace. It doesn't need anything at all. Just like it doesn't have any conscious material in it, but you can touch it and touch the hem of his garment.
Wow.
Be in that realm, that dimension. Just when your personality touches the soul, it goes through the veil by the blood. It's a cleansed conscious, you could say.
Wow.
The purity.
It's amazing, man. Wow.
Thank you very much.
So you spoke also about it, just for curiosity's sake, because I've been doing a little bit of studies on the sigils.
Yeah.
What's your idea about it? Like how like for people who are doing Reiki, you need to follow the sigils, right? Of Reiki sigils or Reiki symbols. And there are a lot of people out there have so much of focus on sigils and getting things done through that. Oh, what do you think is the mechanics behind it?
I recommend a book to all the viewers called Mystics and Miracles. You will see all the saints take their finger and they're going to write on the air sigils. They mostly do the Ankh, which is what they'll call the cross in modern terms. And it's the one that you were also showing, teaching on the tablets on, where's the cross, as on the top. So, and it represents, male and female. It is the key of heaven and earth. And it goes into great details. And then we have to wonder why we're, these old saints doing sigils all the time, and even in the Bible and everything. And what it is when you look at these electrons, you're also going to be taking the course very soon too. This course is called Secrets of the Matrix for those that are listening. And these secrets of the matrix, and what we call matrix, is this 3D world that we're living in, and the secrets behind it, and the veil to the spiritual world is, you see all these little dots when people look at the sky and they're just staring for a few seconds, pop, 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 right? And they call it ambient energy, biophotons, negative ions, electrons. So they say the difference between quantum physics and the spiritual world is it's an atom for quantum physics, and you go deeper into the electrons, and then you're entering the veil or the door frame of the spiritual world, where God is in these particles and through, but all the rest. So anyway, where we're getting at is these electrons are binary codes with zeros and ones, and it's static, and it's never leaves us and never forsakes us. It's literally here right now inside of our body, in front of us. It's the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end. It holds all things together, and it's just everywhere. So the cool part is gematria, which we use for sigils, they're based off of binary codes, and like your hyaluronic acid and the zodiac signs are all sigils, and how they are. So what it is you can take your finger like a wand. It's an extension of your mind, and you can see the image as you follow through, as you're led. So what I've done, which will make a lot of sense for people, is I took a notebook and a pen, and I started writing down the movements of the electrons that are very tiny, and I brought them all the way in with my awareness in front of my eyes so I can see them more clearly. And they would do Heelys, vortexes, spirals, all kind of turns and unique things. And then I started writing hieroglyphics on accident as I kept going. So I'm like, whoa. And I'm seeing it was matching it
Wow.
up to the TV. So with that, this is a veil or a door of all possibilities, omnikinesis, all power, wisdom, everything. It is like it is the key, pretty much. And you can have instant access and instant manifestation. Not like some of the teachings that say this is for your love life, or this is to get rid of a lover. You do this sigil when you put it by your door. This is stuff that we see in the books of mystics and miracles. They'll do an ankh, and all of a sudden the desert will turn to snow instantaneously. It's like a keyboard to the matrix where we're typing in the codes.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow.
Super cool.
This is super cool. Yeah. I haven't anytime had an explanation of such depth on electrons and all this stuff. This is
Me
crazy.
too.
Wow, this is crazy. Wow. So you mean to say the lights or the small particles that we see when we look in the sky, they are literally showing us some kind of symbols and pathway to the spirit realm?
You could write the Bible off of it, and it'll be the exact replica from heart to heart, from spirit to spirit. It's
Wow.
amazing. So with that, to carry on, is if anybody's ever seen on Netflix called Dion, he speaks about the particles in the air and how you can take those just by imagination and faith, and what a lot of people see in a lot of the videos. You can pull off the ionic properties of the water, the ions, and you see it start to get split like Moses. This is on Secrets of the Matrix course. We can see you can take the ambient energy in the air and move it and put them on a tree. Just for a small example, people can do that if they go outside today. Grab that, boom, copy or click and drag, and they're going to see the energy, transfer over there. You can tickle little Finster's hair where he's sucking on a lollipop from way down the balcony. I'm joking, but people get it where we're going with it, how it's a matrix world, and they can play like a child in the kingdom by observation. And we know wisdom. And here's another one. Solomon was given wisdom when he asked for a hearing heart. The first thing he did was got on the cedar tree, and he started observing space, observing the ants, observing the path of the ants, observing all over nature. He's observing the electrons because that's what it's all made out of anyway. So when someone asked me, Nico, when I am walking in the spirit, what do people look like to you in oneness? Which is not all the time on my moments. I say, it looks like an electron cloud orbiting a nucleus with more dirt.
Awesome. Wow. So this is all going to be there in our course.
That's right. Part 2 is going to be about sigils. Part 1 is a complete breakdown on clearing the canvas, clicking and dragging, and how to on exact how to. I mean, someone could watch that course and go out and do greater things than what I've ever witnessed or seen before by their take on it and their understanding of faith and believing that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and try this simple thing.
Wow. That's amazing. So what's the, yeah.
One more thing, sir, Vanil. So with this is a fact and this is truth. This is our ecosystem's killing us, but with these electrons in the air, which even Nikola Tesla wanted to light up the whole world with and has infinite potential, you can create organic food that is real and multiply it through the electrons. You can summon beings. You can also create organic humans with personality in the realm of consciousness, in this real realm, and a soul from this. And no one would ever pretty much thirst again. It's incredible.
Wow.
Life.
Wow. Like free energy.
Yes, completely. That's right in front of our face, closer than our Urudu tube. Colonel's like, that's your throat.
Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy, Nico. Every time I have you here, you bring up something amazing something
Thank you.
very, very new to us. So yeah, so how do people get to your course? How do they, and
Definitely.
like how long is the course? How is it scheduled?
It is only 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay.
Very, very quick and easy. And it's majorly detailed and it's very practical in the beginning. Then it gets a little bit more advanced as the person go through and retake the course over and over on how it
Okay.
actually works. So it's theschoolofmystics.com. And that course is titled Secrets of the Matrix. That's one of my passions and one of my favorite ones. And we're also working on part 2 and part 3 on this. We got a lot of other stuff in the background. We're doing deliverances, but with no words, just straight presence.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's a 1-year course. Serenity and we finished up 2 months already of the course. It has a lot of PDFs. It has so much videos of her and I together with so much demonstrations and talking and interacting and explaining things with no words is one of the toughest courses that we've ever worked on ever. It's about straight
Wow.
presence. We go into major practical detail that we're very impressed when we look back.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. I've seen a couple of your videos. You doing some healings and also some kind of fun things like the cards, the magic cards, and all this stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
working right now with I already could do it. I could take police handcuffs and break them with their chains and boom, break the whole things off. But also I'm taking nails and roofing nails and I'm throwing them through pots and pans. I'm working on getting them through a deck of cards. It's funny because the way the cards work, and also ripping a deck of cards in half. And this is what you'll call physical magic, and a lot more, and holding my breath up to 5 minutes and increasing more for underwater, different things like that. But it's all very elementary still. Like when someone goes, Nico, this is the new of God. You're moving a piece of aluminum foil with your mind. What about the stuff in the old that they were doing? So, it is hilarious.
So
And
what's the mechanic behind you putting a glass and then you're moving the aluminum foil? How do you?
pretty much repetition, like what people could do for starting off, of course, is simply empty their mind. Or before they do that, they can just do, or even both. I prefer empty the mind first so you can clear the canvas before you paint your imagination on it. Then they can visualize for maybe a couple minutes of whatever they want to happen, whether it be under the glass and it's the side wheel is turning. And what a side wheel is for people listening, it's pretty much an eraser with a needle and then a piece of paper or aluminum foil on top that's balancing on the needle, where you can put it under a glass. And I have one where I have that pressure on there on the glass lid where no air can get in or out. You can take a blow dryer to make sure, shake the desk to make sure nothing's moving. But anyway, so that mechanics that clear the mind, use visualization, and then when you start your practice or your work, you can start to feel, if you're going to use your hand, the biofield of the object. You either feel a push, a resistance, or you'll feel a magnetism, whatever you want to use for what you're using. Just with intention alone, everything will react in the environment, of course, because we are in mind. But when you're doing the action, never visualize during the action, never visualize during the exercise or during the manifestation. You completely empty your mind and you use your intention and you will it. So you're pretty much operating as a vessel, a conduit, and a mediator in a way.
Okay, so when you're doing it, you don't visualize. You do it before. You visualize before you do it.
That's right. Yes.
Because most of your energy goes into the visualization, right?
Exactly. That's right. And then it's almost like subconsciously or unconsciously, with your intention alone, knows what wants to happen. So there's a lot of unexplainable things at the same time, but it just happens. It does according to the process of emptying yourself,
So
So
all this that you are sharing today, finally it has, people in Christian religion or in any other religion, when, or even in Reiki and some stuff in magic, uh,
Right.
at the basic principle, in the foundation level, they are basically using all these mechanics to manifest things, right?
That's completely true. And all of it is being used with the person's consciousness. And that's the funny thing, since it's material world that we're in. So all of it's being used by Satan. So all of it's being used in that area. But when it comes from a pure place, when it comes from love, then you're not going to be wasting your life force. Here's a great example. You know, prana, life force, right?
Yeah.
That's like the gasoline of your car, your fuel. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have God, which is the electrical inputs in your navigator or your GPS of your car. So if we don't have God, but we have prana life force, then we can just drive around in circles like going around the mountain with no GPS of where we're
Mm-hmm.
going. And but that's why it needs to be done for so we can have eternal life, and we're not going to be pulling our life force away by using our imagination, by letting consciousness come in and dictate us, and then we're being led by the consciousness, because it's going to destroy itself no matter what, and it always wants a piece of your cake, a piece of your pie.
Oh, so you mean to say if we are doing all this stuff with the help of with the help of consciousness, then it can literally take our energy away.
Yes, 100%. Yes, it will. It's like
Because
when people believe in certain traditions and cultures. Like, for example, here's a really great one. I think your viewers will love this one. In Africa, they have Mary and Jesus as dark skin. China, Chinese. You know, we could go down the whole list of every country European, and they have all their traditions and cultures after this. And what happens though now is, since these people have these images and these idols that they made and they worship inside their head, it's like a demon that eats at them, since it's done by consciousness, and the person will end up dying and not having immortality.
mm-hmm,
Very
mm-hmm.
interesting.
I because I had a qigong teacher, and I was just having conversation with him, and he would tell me, "Hey, don't do telekinesis in front of people. Don't do all these things that you're doing in front of the people, because the more you do it, kind of show off with,
Mm-hmm.
or the more you use your consciousness."
Yep.
He was saying that you are shortening your life, and today I realize the reason why he was saying that, because of what you are saying. And
Yes, we're not expressing ourselves, honestly.
he was telling me, he said, Werner, look at people who do a lot of show off of their skills, of their talents. They have shorter lives. So he was telling me about Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee would show more of his 1 inch punch.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me that your solar plexus literally opens up, and you literally lose so much of energy that your life shortens up.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Tremendously. Now, there's a way that this can be sanctified, of course, like I was mentioning about doing the inner healings and all the rest. And another aspect is that when we share, we give glory to God. But if it's done, you know, the way in the manner that you discern the Lord's body, or if you eat, you fall weak, sick, and die prematurely, as it says in First
Yeah.
Corinthians. So, and we know everyone's body, and it's talking about if we think about it, the way in the manner that we eat off of the material realm, are we eating to you know, because we think that life is in the material realm, or so we're going at it with an eternal approach, that this is our brother and our sister in oneness and union, and we're sharing. So that's the great thing that the Gigong master said, because a lot of people don't know. Like, I like the Book of Wisdom, chapter 1, verse 7, when wickedness comes in, the Holy Spirit flees. When the egotistic nature, you know, it starts this consciousness, in a way, it's like making a deal with the devil or selling your soul. What is a man if he gains the whole world? And that's exactly what's happening here. When we're
Mm,
gaining attention, it's an exchange, it's judgment too. I'm gonna do telekinesis and show off. We just judge them, so now we'll be judged the same way.
mm, wow.
So yeah, this is what we're doing with the School of Mystics, is we're sanctifying everything in purity, and people see even on the healing course how everything's being operated from. Anytime we're I mean, anytime we take anything in from the outside, it's gonna eat us.
Wow, this is so good. This is so crazy. Wow.
Is I mean, watching a TV show, for example, and all of a sudden we hear from somebody else, I'm tired, or eating certain meal. I got the itis, I'm tired, and when they're going to work and coming back and forth, whatever's happening on a daily basis, is we can see how worldly we really are, especially if we observe our consciousness and write down every single thought that we have, even the secret ones we don't want to tell anybody that we pondered on and paid attention to. We can reject those thoughts by, let's say if I had a thought, God forbid, of killing Verno, but instead I hugged you off of the thought. Therefore, I rejected that thought because I didn't follow it with action as well. But we can reject this stuff within ourselves with training and discipline, but we become so spiritually lazy without having perception through feelings that every time we're going into a meditation, or we have because even consciousness remembers through the sixth dimension. So even when we're having encounters with Jesus Christ, this is only going to the sixth dimension anyway. And it's still done with consciousness to deceive us, even though it comes as an angel of light, giving us a great message. I have friends that have, NDEs multiple times in their same body. And they're like, no, Nico, you don't understand. It's real. And then we talk and say, remember, the spiritual things get interpreted spiritually. So with this stuff, if we go deeper, like Mary, I can feel nurturing. I can feel the perceptions or feelings of a motherly love and a care. I don't even, blessed are those that have not seen, and what no ear has heard or man has imagined, but the Father has in store for us. So we got to go to that place. What no man has imagined, and nothing's new under the sun. There's no new thought under the sun. So this is perception through feelings that come in no words, that's been written down and translated, that the prophets spoke about, that others wrote down through their own consciousness and intellect and logic, and allegorical, so the person can take it to perception through feelings himself and get deeply intimate,
Wow. Amazing. So, yeah, I think it's been it's almost an hour, and so much of knowledge is being outpoured here. I would also like you to talk about, um, you spoke about reincarnation. What is your
Yes.
uh, what is your idea about reincarnation?
Great question. A lot of people do want some answers on that as well. And this is it here. Let's say we die and we have not buried our soul and we just lived after the world. Then we take the next trolley or the tram, and we don't know where it goes, but it can be a rich life, a poor life, etc. It could be anything. And we see what happens during people's NDEs that are in the 1 through 6 consciousness realm. But the great question is, a lot of people, as you see in a lot of New Age teachings, with their ancestrals, with their my past lives, and all that is sub personality within the DNA, and then consciousness, what does its best to erase as much as it can from the person remembering that they were born before, so they won't know that they're born again. But that's not the gospel truth of being born again as a human again. The soul always wants to go back home. We're aliens of this world. And it is our ministry as a life purpose to follow, I guess you could say follow your heart, but it's really speaking not of the organ heart, but following the perception of feeling of the intimacy with your soul, where it can touch the spiritual world. And so we know with reincarnation, I call it getting recycled. Like it speaks about the lake of fire being refined by gold. And this is even processes and on a moment-to-moment basis in our lives. So it is something that humble ascended masters do as well. They come back and they get incarnated instead of reincarnated, but incarnation. It is a process where people think that that's something that they want to do, but it's really pretty much the karmatic debt that's being recycled out until the person decides to live in integrity, to live in love, to be an honest human that knows that they're supernatural.
Wow, awesome. Amazing, Nico. Really learning a lot from you. Okay, so before we go off, is there anything that you want to just share?
Definitely great. when someone asks me that, my motto is "How may I serve you?" So
Yeah,
anybody's out there that needs anything as well, I'm the person that some people always say, "I can't believe you responded or replied to me," and I never get that comment, but I know why. I guess because other people they reached out to. But same thing. If there's anything else that anybody would like to see with Verno and I on a podcast or things to discuss, write them down in the comments. What's next? And be open, communicate. We're right here, and don't be scared and don't be shy.
absolutely. As far as I know, Nico, he's always there to help and has so much of vast knowledge in deep stuff. So I really honor him because of what he carries in his life personally, and just such a darling person that is always available for every kind of help. So thank you, Nico. We're going to post the Nico's website and the other links down in the description of this video. If you want to get in touch with him, he's available on Facebook Messengers, Facebook, can contact him also through his website. Avail yourself. His courses are available, and I'm sure as by now you must have surely realized that the courses that he gives is amazing and very deep. So don't forget to check Nico out, Nico's YouTube channel, Nico's website, and I'm sure you're going to be blessed. So thank you so much, Nico, once again.
Thank you, man. Love you, Verno. And you're always such a humble brother. And when you speak, you can see the fruit of the Spirit all over your gentleness, your voice that comes with such a meekness and wisdom.
Thank you so much. Love you,
Intimidate.
brother.
Love you.
Take care. Bye.
See ya.